Milton Davis here. It is 8 o'clock, and as promised or as threatened, I am here to talk a little bit about MVmedia, what's going on, what will be going on, and our plans for the future. In May of this year, I will have been writing and publishing for 16 years. That's a long time, and I must say that it's been an adventure. It's been mostly good. And during that time period, I've been able to accomplish everything that I hope to accomplish as an author and as a publisher during that time period. And so last year was a milestone birthday for me. I turned 60 years old last year. And as I normally do when I reach these 5 year milestones, I always think about what I've done and what I haven't done, and how am I going to be approaching the next year. And one of the things that became something that I decided to do is become more serious about my publishing and become more serious about MVmedia. Some of you might say, more serious. So what have you been doing for 15 years? Well, I started this as kind of a glorified hobby. It was an opportunity for me to do something that I always wanted to do. Was always wanted to write and publish, and I decided to self-publish because based on the climate for publishing at the time, I felt like the best opportunity for me to get my stuff out there would be to self-publish. Print on demand and self-publishing was starting to come into its own around that time period, and I felt like having some entrepreneurial experience, been in business before, that I could make it work, and that's why I decided to choose that path. But during that time period, I published very few other authors. Matter of fact, the only other authors that I published novels by was Balogun Ojitade, Once Upon a Time in Africa, and I published two books by Charles Saunders, the New and Bonnie Tale short story collection, and Abingoni, First Calling. And my plan had been at some point to publish more authors, but ended up spending up more time working on my own stuff and working with the anthologies than I did actually working with other authors as far as novels are concerned. It wasn't because I didn't want to do it, because I had a lot of conversations with friends of mine. We talked about publishing books. Some of them had books that they wanted to publish that they didn't feel like the other mainstream publishers would be interested in. And some of us, we just talked about it because we just wanted to work together. I like their stuff. I like what they're doing. They liked what I was doing. So we said at some point maybe we might work together. Around the end of last year, I finally came to the conclusion that I wanted to spend more time working as a publisher as opposed to working as an author. I've got a pretty good library at this point. Happy with what I've been able to produce. So I'm not so much in a sense of urgency to write and release new books. Although there will be more books, it's just that I'm not as I guess as driven to do new books as I was in the past. So I really wanted to take advantage of the platform that I've been able to build over the years and be able to reach out to other authors and provide an opportunity for them to get their voices out and get their books out. I mean, I'm a small publisher. Let's be honest. I'm not going to be paying people six-figure advances. You're probably not going to get rich working, with me publishing your books. I hope you will. I mean, we're working toward that point. That's one of the reasons that I'm changing my emphasis. But again, there's still a need in this industry for black authors to have a voice and to be able to express themselves certain ways, that even though the industry has opened up more to black speculative fiction and black authors, and you see more and more books every day where black people are able to express themselves in this genre, there's still room and opportunity for more people to do that. And so that's my focus for the next 5 years at least. I'm going to be focusing on publishing, on marketing, and building an infrastructure in order to be able to make sure that the books that I'm publishing and the books that the other people that I'm working with will be seen. So that's my focus. Last year, one of the things that okay, I wrote a list because I didn't want to wander too much, so I could stay on track a little bit and waste too much time. What's up, Jason? Urias? Glad to see you here. Some of the things that we're going to be doing, I'm going to start off by talking about this year. Last year was actually a good year for us. Last year, I sold more books than I ever have since I've been in publishing. It was a certain goal I had set for myself as far as every year I try to increase my sales, and it was one um, level of sales I'd been trying to reach for the past 3 or 4 years, which I finally broke last year. I know the pandemic had something to do with that, people being at home and reading more, but I'd like to think that part of it had to do with the fact that more and more people were being exposed to my books and the books that are published by other people, and were finding more interest in them and purchasing them. So that's what I'm gonna go with. So this year, this month actually has started out strong as well. It's been a really good month for us. I'm anticipating that this will be a good year because of some of the new authors I'm bringing on, because some of the new books we're going to be releasing. I think it's going to be a really good year as well. But time will tell. If January is any indication of that, it's going to be good. Next month, of course, is Black History Month, and as we always say, Black History is 365. But it's special, always special, and it's nice to have a month where we concentrate and celebrate Black history, not just in America, but throughout the diaspora. And of course, one of the things that we're going to be doing is that we're going to have a sale. We're going to have an inventory sale. We'll be have 20% off on all our books, and I will have it listed on the front, on the home page of my website, which books will be available, so you'll know what to pick from. We also got a couple of book releases this month. On February 1st, I will finally be releasing the long anticipated sequel to Amber in the Hidden City, Amber and the Enchanted Sword. It's been 7 years in the making. I've had the story in my mind for a while. Last year I forced myself to sit down and finish the book, and I think it's a good book. The beta readers enjoyed it. One of the things I was concerned about was I going to be able to have that same energy and that same feeling from the first book, since it had been so long since I wrote the first book. And I felt like it was there. My beta readers felt like it was there. So great. You can pre-order the book now. It's on sale for pre-order. It will be available for release on February the 1st. You'll be able to get it anywhere at that point. Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, anywhere books are sold. Of course, if you buy them directly from us, you can get them signed by yours truly. And we do have inventory, so whatever you order will ship out immediately. Another book that's going to be dropping in February is an anthology that I've been threatening for years, and finally got going on it, and it's coming together right now, and that's the Cyberpunk anthology. If you've been following us for any period of time, this funk series of anthologies just kind of came out of nowhere. It began with steampunk, and then we did diesel funk, and then I started looking at I like cyberpunk myself, and like cyberpunk, like every other genre, there's situations where the presence of black authors is lacking, and that's one of the things that the funk anthology series are all about. It's about looking at the different genres that exist, and putting together a book that will represent and give black authors the opportunity to really delve into these genres and express themselves in their way. And in most cases, in a lot of cases, it's almost the same way I explained steampunk. There are stories in there where the main characters happen to be black, and there are stories in there where the main characters have to be black. And it's, again, another way to give black authors from the diaspora, to be able to express themselves the way that they want to express themselves, and not have to really be worrying about whatever trends and stuff that are going on in publishing at this time. Now, that book is going to be available on the 28th of the month of February, and that will be its release date. We got some great stories in there, got some great authors in there. When we released the table of contents, people just kind of lost their mind a little bit, because we got some great folks, people that I've always wanted to work with, people that I've worked with before, and a couple of new authors that I've never worked with before that sent in some great stories. So that's going to be another anthology to look out for. Speaking of, I want to go a little bit and talk a little bit more about some of the new authors that we're bringing in. It basically started last year, because last year we added Sarah Macklin, who we published a book by her, The Royal Heretic, and Enoch Sambaya, who had the book Nasomi's Quest. And these two are both great sword and soul books. They're both epic fantasy. I got them with me here. This is Nasomi's Quest, and my light is bland on it. But this is Nasomi's Quest by Enoch Simbaya, which is almost like a magic realism type epic fantasy. Enoch expresses a lot of storytelling about the people and their lives and the characters. He really gets deep into that, and I think you'll enjoy it from that standpoint. The other book is The Royal Heretic, and this is Sarah. This is actually Sarah's first novel, and it's a great novel. I'm telling you. It's one of the few sword and soul novels that I've read that have been based on Egypt and Egyptian culture. And Sarah does an excellent job of world building. It's a very exciting book, and when you reach the end of it, you're going to be hungry for book 2, which I can proudly say is coming because we actually had an interview with Sarah. She read a portion of it. So those are 2 books from the 2 authors that I added on last year. There's also the book coming from B. Sharice Moore which is Dr. Marvelous Jen's Odd Scholars. And it's a great book, another great book. I've known Sharice for a long time. I'm going to embarrass her a little bit. Her first book that she let out years ago called Taste was one of my favorite books, and I've been waiting for her to come out with a new novel. And when she talked to me about Dr. Marvelous Jen, I was like excited about it. And when I read it, I was blown away by it. She did a great job. This would be kind of like a book that would fall into the diesel funk genre. It takes place in the 1920s. And I know you've seen, we've been posting about it. We've got the first 3 chapters on there. It's a great book that's going to be coming out, and I know you guys are going to enjoy it. Now, some of the other authors that I also have done announcements on, of course, Carol McDonald, another author that I've known for a long time, and Carol is one of those people that you should know. She's one of those indie authors that you should know. She writes some great stuff. Carol has her own beat that she marches to, and it's excellent. If you've ever read any of her books, one of my favorite books by her, The Constant Tower, is like a perfect example of what world building should be. It's a unique world, and I love that book. Whenever somebody talks to me about world building, I tell them about The Constant Tower by Carol McDonald. So Carol's coming into the fold. Derek Ferguson, another author who I've known for a long time. Derek is really well known in the pulp fiction area. We got together and we talking. He said, "Hey, Milt, I got this collection of stories. Check it out. It's called The Trail of Sebastian Red." And I've dabbled in weird Western stories, but Derek Ferguson and Nicole Smith have really shown me what real weird Western is about. I told them compared to what they do, I write odd Westerns. I mean, I'm reading these books and I'm blown away by them, and I know you're really like that. We also made an announcement with Ronaldo Anderson. I've known all these people that I'm publishing, people I've known for a long time. I've known Ronaldo for years. If you know him, he also is the man behind BSAM, which is the Black Speculative Arts Movement, which is an international movement. And actually, Ronaldo's book is going to be the first nonfiction book I've ever published. We talked about it. He was telling me about a lecture he had done, and it sounded really interesting. And so I said, hey, let's talk about it. And he said, well, I'd love to publish this as a book. So I said, hey, let's do it. So we will be releasing that book this year. And I also can say that the cover artwork is going to be done by Stacy Robinson. And if you guys know Stacy's work, you're going to be seeing something that's going to be really spectacular when it comes out. Who else did I have here? I've got a couple of more authors that we will be working with next year. I'm not going to mention who they are because I like for it to be a surprise. We will be announcing one next week. All I can say that these are also authors that I've worked with over the years, and they're also excellent authors in their own right, and they're authors that need to be more known because of their work and because they do excellent work. So I'm really excited about this year being able to add on new authors. Some people might say, well, Milt, what's your process of doing that? And I'm not big enough to have submissions. I can't take submissions, I just don't have the time to do it. I'm a one man show. What usually happens is that I meet authors over the years. We talk. I read their work. I like their stuff, and I'll basically tell them and say, look, if you ever, think you might have a novel that I might like, or if ever you uh, want to talk about me publishing a book for you, let's talk. I'm open to it. My job that I look at as a publisher is not to try to tell you what you should be writing based on what's being read and stuff like that. I want to be able to release your book the way that you want it to be released, and so you to tell the story that you want it to tell. It's the same. It's the reason why I started my publishing company, and so I kind of take that same attitude when I deal with authors. Um, and because I do that way, I'm pretty sure that my audience is going to be interested in what the authors publish because it's something that I'm interested in, and so I think it's kind of reflects in to the people who read the books that I basically publish. Um, so what else is happening this year? You know that last year we kind of got into working with comic books. So we're going to continue that this year. In April, we will be launching the Angola Diaspora Book 2 Kickstarter, where we will continue that storyline. That's based on the award-winning script that Balagoon and I wrote. We won the best script in the 2014 Urban Action Showcase, and basically the Angola Diaspora is based on that script. We're working with Peter Daniel from Peta Studio, ATL Lagos. Peter is in charge of doing the artwork and stuff like that, and the lettering and the inking, and of course Balagoon and I are in charge of doing the writing and stuff like that. And we're also letting a novella series along in combination with that. We also have Changa and the Jade Obelisk 2, which will be coming out this year. I work with Jason Reeves and 133 Art on that. We're finalizing the script as we speak, written by the incomparable Robert Jeffrey, and so we're about ready to go into the inking and that process of it. So you can anticipate that coming this year as well. We haven't set a particular date for the release, but for the Kickstarter, but that will be happening this year. Another comic book, or should I say graphic novel that I'm working on, is a graphic novel based on Woman of the Woods. I've been working with Shane Greer, a very talented artist out of Louisiana, who we've been kind of working slowly on that. But unlike the Changa and the Jade Obelisk and Angola Diaspora, this is going to be a graphic novel. So the entire story will be told in that one graphic novel. And Shane has a unique style. I've always admired his work ever since I've known him. So it's a great opportunity to work with him. Again, we'll be working through 133 Art with Jason as well with that particular project. So those will be the 3 comic book projects that we're looking at for next year. So let's talk about upcoming novels for me, because I'm always working on something. Next month, I will actually jump into my first steampunk novel in a while, The Curious Cases of Martha Periwinkle. You've seen the cover art. I've been posting it up for a while. Always love it when I get a chance to work with Sean Hill to do artwork, because Sean is amazing. He's done a cover art for me from some of my other projects as well. And this story is based on the Fredonia world, but it's a little different from the From Here to Timbuktu series. That series is more action adventure. With Martha Periwinkle, I'm going to get a little bit more in detail of the politics and stuff that's happening in Fredonia. Martha is a accomplished educator that lives in Atlanta, and she has decided that she is going to relocate to New York to start a school for girls. She has heard about the situation of black people in America, and she has decided that she is going to go to New York, establish this school, and bring some of the technology and the opportunities from Fredonia to black people in America. Out of a series of circumstances, she finds herself solving cases. It's an interesting way how she gets to that point. But Martha's skills go beyond being a teacher. She has some other skills that she inherited from her mother, and they come into play when she's in the process of solving cases. So this is going to be a fun book to write. I've been doing a lot of research on 1870 New York and getting some background on it so I can kind of incorporate all that into the story. So that's going to be great. Etta Bless 2 is another short story collection based on one of my favorite characters from the Kikanga world, Omari Ket. The character who was never meant to be. Omari Ket appeared in a story with another character, and he was supposed to die in that story. But as I was sharing the story with some other readers, they were like, "Man, I really like this guy Omari Ket. I really like him." And I'm like, "Man, I kind of hate they like this guy because he's gonna die by the end of the story." But I got such good feedback from him that I decided to let him live, and I wrote a story just for him that was also in the Kikanga anthology. And people liked that story so much that I said, hey, you know what? I'm going to play with this character for a while. So the first book was Etta Bless, which had a few new stories in addition to some of the previous stories that had been written about Omari Ket. The Etta Bless 2 is actually going to be a collection of all brand new stories about Omari Ket. I've got beta readers looking at it right now. And in the first book was more like a following of random stories that followed Omari Ket as he was a Mikajan mercenary for the Kiswala merchants, and as he became a freelance mercenary. The second book is the same thing, but I'm starting to get more into Omari's destiny, and I'll just kind of leave it at that. Once you get the book and read the stories, you'll see where I'm coming from. Another book that may be coming out next year is The Makurian. The Makurian is another historical fantasy novel that takes place in East Africa in the ancient country called Makuria. Makuria was actually a Christian nation that existed in northern Sudan, and it's a very unique history. They were the first kingdom that resisted the Arab invasion of North Africa, and they were so successful at it that the Arabs signed a peace treaty with them called the Bakht that lasted 700 years. And despite that kingdom being around so long and having such an influence on that part of the world, you never really hear a lot about it in history. And that's one of the reasons why I chose to write a story there. So my story, The Mercurian, is based in that area, but like Changa, it's a historical fantasy novel. So there is some fantasy elements in that as well. Um, a couple of novellas I'm working on. One of them you guys been reading portions of it. It's called Black Rose. Black Rose was actually inspired by the artwork of Amber Denise. Amber did this illustration of a black woman dressed in samurai clothing, and I saw that picture and I was like, man, there's a story behind that, and that was the result of Black Rose. If you read it, basically, Black Rose is about a black woman who's a Swahili merchant who's dealing with the country of Japan, and she made friends with one of the shoguns there. And in a moment where this shogun is life is at risk, he gives his daughter to Black Rose, to Kessie, which is her Swahili name, to protect. And through a series of circumstances, Kessie ends up having to bring the daughter Kanuri to East Africa, to the island of Pemba, and it's there where the daughter learns how to fight because she learns from Kessie, and Kessie has this amazing skill with swords and stuff like that. And so that's what that story kind of circles around. It's going to be a novella. It's not going to be a whole novel, but it's also a way for me to kind of like delve deeper into the history of East Africa and its relation with Asia and India and other stuff like that. And the last book I will talk about is Playing the Odds. Playing the Odds is a short story that I wrote. It's a cyberpunk short story. It's actually the short story that is the foundation for our Playing the Odds animation series. And initially started as a short story, but what I'm doing with the novella is that I'm expanding the story. Taking Michelle and Carlos' adventures and taking it out to its complete conclusion. So that one will be coming out pretty soon. Maybe I don't have a sure date on a definite date on that one, but it's probably going to be April, no later than May. So those are the recent projects that I'm working on. Of course, there's other things going on. There are a couple of short stories that I'm working on for some other anthologies and magazines. There's always something going on, always doing something. So that's kind of it. That's what's going on with me. That's what's going on with MVmedia. I see I got a few people that are checking things out. and I know I have this 5 second delay thing going on. So I'm gonna give y'all a few minutes if anybody has any specific questions, if there's anything that I haven't mentioned and talked about that you might be curious about as far as MVmedia, as far as about what I'm doing. Speak now or forever hold your peace. Yeah, Roddy. It is a full schedule. I'm actually supposed to be slowing down, but I've been saying that for the past 5 years, and somehow that hasn't worked out. Because every time you start to do something, something else comes up, and it's an opportunity that's just too good to say no. Um, but like I said, there's other projects going on. There's things going on that I can't really talk about right now. Some of you that's in this world right now know that there's a lot of activity going on right now when it comes to movies and streaming networks and stuff like that. And content is king right now. So if you've got good content out there, 9 times out of 10 you're having a conversation with somebody about something. That's just the world we're in right now. So I'm hoping that some of these things will come to fruition, but it just takes time. Oh yeah, and this is really bad. I should have mentioned this. Um, Also in March, the first week of March, um, Black Panther: Tales of Wakanda will be released, and I do have a story in that anthology, and I'm also happy to be in there with a lot of authors that I know well, particularly Letitia Carlock and Glenn Paris. All of us are indie authors. All of us are from the ATL, and it's kind of significant that the three of us were able to make it into this anthology, and we all have stories in there. So shout out to the ATL, to the ATLians. But yeah, it's a great book, and you're gonna want to check that out. Um, You're right. He says, I know the struggle about all these different projects coming up, but I do enjoy it. I love it, and that's the reason why I keep doing it. Roddy, is because it's fun. I mean, the bottom line is that it's fun, and that's the reason why I chose to go independent, because that way I'm only working on projects that I want to work with, which makes it fun and makes it exciting like that. Another thing I forgot to bring up, Kikanga. I mentioned it when I was talking about Omar Marquette. About 6 years ago, Balagoon, Ojitadi, and I came up with the Kikanga RPG, which is an African-based role-playing game. Um, it's been out for a while. We've had some interest in it, but to be honest, we haven't paid attention to it like we should have, as far as getting the word out and getting it into and getting it going. We are working on a 2.0 version of the Kikanga RPG, which we plan on releasing this year. We will be working with the game mechanics a little bit, expanding some of the mythology behind it, adding some more details to the maps, and also we'll be creating specific adventures for people to play with the game, because it is a great game, and we want people to to have a chance to play it and understand that it's out there. I mean, it's something that people have been looking for. It's something that we've had for a while, and we want to put a little bit more energy behind it and get it out to the role playing game, people who are interested in role playing games. You also need to check Balogun out for a number of games. That's his wheelhouse right now. And he's been rolling out a number of RPG games. So you want to look him up. Look at the games that he's coming out with. All of them are great. Probably have some more games coming out based on some of the other projects that we're working on. So take a look out for that. But that's about it. I ended up doing a little rambling, even though I said I wasn't going to. I hope everybody have a great evening. Since I don't see any more questions coming up, and again, you can visit my website, www.mvmediaatl.com, to see what's going on book-wise. I have an author's website. That's www.miltonjdavis.com. Of course, you guys find me here on Facebook. My Instagram is at Obadoro, which is Obadoro. And you can also find me at Twitter on @thegriot, and that's Griot with a T. I'm saying that because MSNBC has Griot without the T, and people get us mixed up. But hey, that's it. Y'all have a great day, and see you soon. Peace.